Hey, I'd love to run with it.
Ladies and gentlemen, you left us at an absolute cliffhanger. A couple of good things here. Number one, Devon Larratt has not had time to do his hair. Number two, Engin, the enigma of rage, Terzi, has kept the lid on it and is still completely calm, like a milk pond. And point number three, John Brzenk is still with us, and he's got about 25 minutes left. Maybe we'll talk him into 35 minutes if it's a good conversation. Welcome to In the Presence of Greatness with myself, the fat lad Neil Pickup. And we had just started talking about John Brzenk. Engin had just given it, it's quite a nice, respectful breakdown. Very, very different to the kind of breakdown you often give of Devon. And you spoke to us about the fact that you felt that John, joking aside, was good in all areas. And it was the synergy of what he was able to do which made him dominant for that period of time. You also spoke about the fact that, in your mind, John Brzenk has been the very best arm wrestler for the last 35 years. And I wanted to start there and say, at what period do you feel like he was surpassed by Danny Tesh?
Well, as soon as Danny Tesh was known of. When was Danny Tesh born?
I'm not sure he was born. I think he was created.
Good point.
Yeah, I think it was made.
Yeah.
And if you notice, Engin is not responding. He's not having it. Oh.
I'm sure there's a lot of guys that like that right out there that have the potential to be the Danny Tesh.
I don't think these guys are up on it.
And just never really got out there. Exposed
I mean,
himself.
John obviously is very wary of Danny Tesh. John has a Danny Tesh poster on his wall. If you go
I've been warned plenty of times by a good friend Ryan Bowen that's somebody I need to avoid.
Everybody needs to. Are you familiar with Danny Tesh, Engin?
No.
Yeah. Call yourself an arm wrestler, son.
I don't know. I think he's one of the guys that were asking me signature.
I'll tell you now. Danny Tesh. Shall I tell him? Devon, are you going to tell him?
No, listen, I'd rather just you be surprised when you finally get stonewalled by him. That'd be better.
Check this for a claim, right? And John will endorse this. Danny Tesh, the greatest arm wrestler of all time in any weight ever.
Okay, I agree. I think that this is the shortest way to finish this one, so we can really talk about arm wrestling. So I agree.
If I could start where we left off.
Yeah, let's do that.
We were talking about a little bit of technique and how, yes, it's great when you're technically able to put stuff together in whatever move you want to do, whether it's hook, top roll, flop, whatever. It doesn't matter. But so John, Kings? Yeah, Kings, and I'll get to that because this was a big change for me. And I know, John, you really do very little in the gym, but Engin, I know that you do train in the gym. So I was wondering, what are your priority lifts that you do?
I do everything. I do every muscle group that I need to train, but most I focus is the pronator training. I have a pronation program that I have like 6-7 different movements, but I never train pronator alone. I combine it with either with finger or with the wrist or with the lat or with supination together. I do combination together.
To build on Devon's question there a little bit, Engin, because this fascinates me.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been that obsessed with pronator? Let's say you on your journey through the sport, the early version of yourself, were you as pronation focused then, or is this something that you've become?
I was mostly focusing on the hand, finger, and the lat at that time. I found out what pronation is doing for arm wrestling by Kurt Niyazi. He finished the sport academy, and he finished the academy with the subject that he made pages of this about the arm wrestling, and there we all started to focus on pronation. But I realized one thing that like 50% to me it is my opinion. I like these two guys are the legends. You are too, but none of you knows the absolute truth. Neither me. But there are different ways to reach to the top. and you know one way, Devon knows one way, John knows one way, the guy from Kazakhstan, the guys from Kazakhstan. So there is no one absolute truth. So there are different ways to reach to the top. This is what I believe about arm wrestling.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think John hit the nail on the head earlier when he said in the other episode when he said there's a technical excellence in understanding what your capabilities are and running with those. You know,
but to me,
and I think some
the
people
50% of arm wrestling is this. For me, 50% of arm wrestling is this: holding the guy and curling into your angle, and the guy is only with a wrist movement. He is like this. The wrist alone, but not going into the opponent's angle to your own angle. The wrist is the 50% of arm wrestling. If you add that supination, then you go in hook. And if you apply the supination and pronation almost equally, then this is what I call side pressure. And then if the pronation is the most dominant, then this is mostly an outside move, you know. But
I would agree, Engin, and I think largely because 50% of arm wrestlers can't pull in a bad position.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. If pronation is always going to outdo cupping, then you're going to have to evolve into becoming a presser, maybe a flop wrist presser. I mean, but if you're not skilled or practiced in that technique, I mean, you're going to get beat by a superior pronator or pronation.
I mean, I think we can all agree that the two biggest parts that you should be training in the gym is cup and pronation.
100%.
To me, the beginning solidness of the hand, the beginning solidness is more important than the wrist curve because like the match starts like this. If the guy is loading, you need to stay here solid, the control, the back pressure and everything. Then you can apply the wrist curve. While you are like this, if your finger is already going this, and then listen, more you get far from the joints, more vulnerable you are. So if your finger is staying like this, you will get the farthest pressure from here, your hand. More the fingers are moving this way, more you're getting far from the wrist joint.
So I'll ask you a question. Does it matter, Engin, if you're pulling in a strap or outside of a strap?
In the strap, the finger, this doesn't matter so much. Yeah, because the strap is doing the job. Yeah, that's true. But still, your wrist needs to stay solid this way. When I was like 60 kilo, I was pulling. I had those door pull-up bars that you are putting between the door. Yeah, I was doing with one hand the pull-up on the fingertips like this, one hand. But I was 60 kilo. So like you need to handle the pressure with your finger, lat, everything, and then you can enter the match. If you are at the beginning position, you are not so solid there, you understand, you are already moving, you can't really apply the technique. The guy who is more solid at the beginning is the one, if he's not, but sometimes they are so fast.
Just to pick up on the point that Devon made there about does it matter if you're in the strap? I'm going to say, yeah, it does actually, because also the strap, it's fine saying, the strap does a lot of the work. Yes, it does. But what that doesn't do, if you lose that, it doesn't limit your opponent the same. If you allow an opponent, someone who is, and I'm talking about the 50% of arm wrestlers that don't care whether they're in a bad position. And believe me, those guys are out there. In fact, you get one of those guys, the thing that makes you to your absolute peak is when you get to a situation where you're able to control the position of the match from every angle, or vector, whatever you want to call it. But wherever you are, if you can control your opponent's position and your position, that's the real beauty of it. That's the area where one of the things I respected about Svetan Gashevsky, who I still believe is as good an arm wrestler as I've ever met working with the tools. It's like I've said it before, he didn't have the best leverage. He didn't have the best, almost like you said about John Engin, he didn't have the best strength necessarily, not best in class.
His side pressure was so incredible. His endurance,
timing was incredible, and his ability to understand what he had to do, unorthodox or orthodox, to make sure his opponent never felt comfortable. His ability to keep you off balance was amazing.
I will tell you something about him.
Right.
did
And all
that.
these moves are great in theory, but if you understand yourself and you realize that you can't perform those moves, why even attempt to, control a match by using those moves? I mean, I've recognized that fact a long time ago. I would love to have the Travis Badgett, high knuckle top roll, but I just don't have that long bicep, and my strength doesn't come from the front of my arm like that to be able to post high like that. I mean, it's great, and it's effective for a lot of people. It's great theory, but it's not practical for a lot of people. You just have to go with your strengths.
That's a great point, John, because Travis's efficiency is also massively based around the fact that he is a very intelligent arm wrestler, really, really intelligent arm wrestler, in that he can move fractional movement, which makes you uncomfortable really quick. And once you breathe to adjust, boom, it's over, it's finished. Yeah. And a lot of the time, you never get that setting point with Travis. And you can't help but respect that. I've got massive respect for Travis. One of the most clinical.
He's one of the best. One of the best starters, at with the go. I think he is mostly focused on there.
The go. It's before.
So you can see what he's doing.
Before the go.
How many people are effective being able to pull that off? Not many.
No, he's mega.
Yeah. About Gaszewski, I want to add something about Gaszewski. Gaszewski is one of the guys that like you can consider him like the most explosive with the start, but if he stopped, he has like the best endurance. I'm talking about his prime time, like he was starting like this, so explosive. And then once the match started, he could pull 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. It is not so easy to find this explosiveness, endurance in the same person at the highest level.
Right.
What I'm still curious about the gym lifts though. And I'm wondering, because the sport has evolved during your time period in it. It's evolved a ton even during my period. Has the strengths that are the most important that you train in the gym changed over the course of the sport's evolution, or the way you've trained? Because for me, there have been a few big periods where I've shifted, and I'm currently in a shift.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was getting at, mate. When I said, have you evolved to that appreciation of the pronator and what you're doing?
Right.
Because I'll tell you this, if I trained for arm wrestling now, I'm going to be honest with you, I have not trained for arm wrestling since 2006 at all. Largely after I had a joint operation. My career really ended in 2000, at the end of 2001, early 2002 with the joint op. I was they said, look, if you have this joint operation, we're going to rebuild your joint. It's going to take time. I had my first joint rebuild in 2001. I had my second at the end of 2003. And I had my third and last joint rebuild at the end of 2004. And then I was like arm wrestling through probably stupidity, trying to get ready for Worlds 06 in Manchester, because I had this stupid idea about doing well there. I did too much too early. But if I could have my time over again, I would train more efficiently and very differently, just to support what Devon just said, because I did end up training or trying to rush back, but I was trying to cover a wide hemisphere of stuff stupidly. And as I've got out of the sport myself and watched it more, observed it more, and observed where the real wins are, if I'm training my sons, I'm training them different. I'm training them different.
Well,
but trust me,
we've all developed holes, and we've all tried to cover up these holes by training differently.
Yeah, but you are as good as what you transfer to the table, not what you do in the gym. Gym is assistant training,
being able to recognize where you're weak and then either fixing it by training or adjust to a different technique, which I think that's what Devon's evolved to. I mean, and myself, I keep trying to fix my hole, but I eventually will probably evolve into maybe the same move. I do the King's move every once in a while at practice.
The thing is now, it's like I used to have so much emphasis on rise because that stops you from slipping in a bad way. But really, I mean, you're basically guaranteed a strap now.
Right.
basically guaranteed it.
Also, Dev, you're tall, mate. So that height, that leverage advantage, it's going to make it's a welcome place, isn't it? If you can always rise more than the other guy, which 80%
you can get a strap just as easy as I can in the WAL.
I can, but I couldn't rise as effectively. I can only rise so far.
But rising, but in a strap, rising isn't anywhere near that important. I mean,
bullshit.
It's not that important in a strap.
Oh,
not
mate,
as much as it is outside of a strap.
Depends. If it's only not important if the guy you're pulling against is back. If the guy you're pulling against is backhand hard to the side, it's really important.
You know,
because he only becomes concerned when his fingers start to give way. And it's like a straw, putting a straw through an orange.
There was something I was trying to get at before we even went down this road, and it was grip. And I never trained my grip for like 20 years because I didn't think you ever want to hold on to anything. I didn't think it was ever smart. But in the last like 2 years, I've found that I was actually wrong and that there's a great application for it.
I think forearm and hand, not so much grip, but just forearm and hand is so important to even maintaining any kind of an angle, even being able to pull in a hook. So I mean, you might be misunderstanding why your grip is so important to me. You can't even begin to put any side pressure or maintain any kind of an angle without that forearm and hand and grip being there.
Just to pick up on one point, because I was going to make this a second ago, Devon, do you know when you said a moment ago that in a strap, rising's nowhere near important?
Right.
You know why you think that?
Because it's not that strong of a vector compared to cupping and pronating.
No, generally, honestly, because you've never lacked there.
No, that's not true. No, it's not true.
It's good to see that anyone else is arguing with Devon than me.
No, but it's not true. There's something like come into the match, and I realized
if you've got a welt.
Okay, your pronator is as effective as your grip and your wrist. Stronger you are here, stronger you will hit here. Weaker you get in here, you can control your pronator. So everything starts with the beginning position, and then the wrist, and then whatever, spination, pronation, this, whatever. It starts better you control here, harder you will hit here. More you get loose here, weaker you will get here. You need to first control the wrist of your opponent here, the pronation. Like I see how it is. I don't see, like, when you are dieting after, like long time, you don't see potato as potato. You see as a carb. You don't see beef. You see as a protein, right? So whenever I look at the arm, I don't see your arm or his arm. Whenever I look at the arm, I'll look at the arm. No, I don't see it. I see here is brachyradialis, brachialis, the bicep, and then the supinator, and then the pronator, and the flexor, everything. So one needs to analyze all these muscle groups, and then you need to find out how to counter all of these muscle groups. You at the beginning you count the brachyradialis with your fingers, because you start like this, and with your lat, and then you have the pronator. Then you control with your own wrist the pronator. But first you need to block it. And
I'd like to see.
That's not the only way.
Devon trained with you, Engin, for one reason. Or he'd need other people to work with, but the reason why is because Devon's technical failing, and there aren't many. He's one of the most complete arm wrestlers I've ever seen. And his gain is also he's a phenomenal arm wrestler, because he's intelligent enough to join it up as well, and he's thinking about it. But also, one of the biggest issues that Devon's always had is that he doesn't have a lot of elite arm wrestlers are the same, but he's got all the leverage in the world and doesn't have a crop of people around who can test that. So a tremendous amount of Devon's career has been spent on the B side. He's been there, and everything starts from here. The early version of Devon was a much more effective attacking arm wrestler than anything we've seen since. If Devon could he always talks about going to that next level. The next level for you, Devon, really, mate, as a friend, the next level for you. If I had 6 months with you, I guarantee I could make you more dangerous than you've ever been. Just because I have terrible levers, tiny hand, and yet I was vicious in a top roll. And why is because of things that I learned from watching Svetan. And it's just that little bit of unorthodox position and explosivity in an unorthodox position. Now, you do that well, Engin. You've got your coordination down and everything, but it's being able to create that 2-inch gap where you gain so much. And Devon doesn't ever really attack, not a purist attack. What he tries to do is a counter puncher. And he's maybe the best counter puncher of all time. But he doesn't really attack. When you watch him pull Dave Chaffee, I talked about it a lot in the telecast.
But that's because he recognizes the fact that he's and I'll relate it to running. He's the 440 guy. He's going to get beat in the 100 yards dash, but he knows if the race goes to the 440, he's going to win the race. And that
could, but you're talking about if he's going in a linear motion because he's slow away. What about if he just throws his arm in there?
But I do that sometimes. Like sometimes I will do that. Like if I feel
do it, dude. You may do. But
it's after you've completely drained your opponent from the previous matches.
Yeah. I've never seen you throw an unorthodox high knuckle in. Like if you talked with Paul Maiden, who I train with, one of the most effective moves that I ever showed Paul back in the day when I could do it was where I'd hit. He said, "How the frig do you open the Russian guy's wrist when you're doing that?" And I would actually say, "Well, I actually don't go backwards. You think I'm coming this way? What I do is go forwards and up." Forwards and up as my body comes back. So when they actually connect, they're hitting. I used to say it's like putting a straw through an orange. When they react slower, and then as they drive forward, they go straight into the line of the bone. And
Devon recognizes what he's good at. I mean, genetically he's not going to be a Travis or an Arson that's out of the blocks and
no, but it's the leverage.
Powerful.
He doesn't need to be quick. He just needs to adjust the angle. Adjust the position. Right. You can move. If I'm trying to move half an inch and the other guy's trying to move 3 inches, I can give away a little bit of speed if my angle's correct. You with me? I don't have to travel 3 inches. I have to travel half an inch.
Right. I mean, speed doesn't work if you're not getting any advantage, and you know that by getting a position and waiting it out 10, 15, 20 seconds is going to put you in a better position to then move. I mean.
He's gone to the comfortable place. But what I'm getting is, Devon will always have that. He'll always have endurance.
Right.
Whoa.
It's his aces.
Let's say yes, it is exactly that. Exactly that. You've always got the safe zone. You've always got it. You're always going to be able to pull anywhere. You're always good. Now you've got the kings. Perfect example. 80% of your difficult matches, or when you are facing a guy that is actually dangerous to you, you will go kings.
These days, it's a pretty nice option for me.
Yeah, because it's hard to counter. So why the hell?
And I'm saying trying to be offensive and explosive and get a better position and finishing the match quicker could put him at a disadvantage in the match and in the overall match.
What you just said. Not forget explosive. You can attack statically.
Yeah, I try. Positional.
I'm talking about attacking, positional attacking. His mindset before he goes to the table is, you will move, I will counter, I will choke your ass out.
That's not.
But sometimes that's what he chooses.
That's what worked for him. Yeah.
It does work, and it'll continue to work.
It's like going into the gym and hanging on to a bicep, hanging on, not trying to lift the 100.
But will it work against Vitaly Larratt?
Well, it has to. That's his strengths.
Will it?
It has to.
We'll see.
I mean, that's just it has.
He was
got a lot of areas where he could beat Vitaly Larratt, but whether or not he chooses to try to access them,
not quickly, not with speed. I think. Yeah.
Anyways, what I was trying to get to.
Now you say, finally, yeah.
What I was trying to get to is based on my slow, crappy angles that I'm stuck with.
I don't mean to be, mate. I don't mean to be knocking you.
No.
I'm trying to help you.
I know. Look, I'm always thinking too if I could change. Look at something interesting. I've tried to change people as well as a coach, and I've found that that's normally a mistake. Like a guy like Alan Ford, I'd be like, Alan, if you could only, pull slow. But the thing is Alan's not. He's gonna beat you fast. or he's going to lose.
I think you're too big. I think you're missing what I'm saying. I wouldn't want to make you explosive, Devon. We'll cover it when we get on the table. I'll show you what I mean.
That's great. So look, at my biggest kind of technical takeaway in the last 2 years, much to the upset of probably 95% of the arm wrestling world, is I've really tried to wrap my head around the King's move. And it's changed the way that I train. Because what I've realized is that in a strap, you have access. You just have access to stuff that you don't outside of the strap. And in the strap, you can just drag. And you don't, all that stuff you talk about, Engin, with the cup and having to have a flat hand.
Yeah.
You don't.
I'm not going to lie, Devon. I would love you to teach me the King's move.
So as long
I've
as
said
you
it to Mike. I'd love to learn it.
As long as you understand there's certain qualities that you have to possess to make the King's move work, then I would agree that you're still strong in the side pressure and the shoulder, and once you've exhausted that back pressure, you're able to make that transition fairly easily. Some people, that's just not the case, and
it's beatable too, you know.
There's an easier path than the King's move, than going to the straps and dragging it out like that. It works for you because you're feeling great by the end of that.
The only reason I really like it right now is because there's such a resistance to it. And that so many people...
No, that is your only solution against Dave Chappie. That's why you like it.
No, I don't think it is.
This is what we saw.
I think it is.
But
it's just until he goes there and prove that he can beat him like this.
Yeah, no, but at the end of it, at the end, you're a special case, Devon. I mean, most people aren't in your position to have that work out at the end for them. If I try to do that, I end up just being like numb and like never going to be able to make that transition.
Would you like to learn it, John? Would you like to
even if I had the strength to stop it, I just don't. At my point in my career, I don't think I could make the transition to win from there. Even if I could stonewall somebody there, I don't think I would be able to dig it out from that spot to actually bring it around and it's not going to work. It's not going to work.
I will tell you something which is worse than the King's move. One guy is doing King's move. Two guys are doing the King's move. It is the worst thing ever, you know.
It's a lot. It's a lot of
Anatoly Manseyev pulling Crazy George.
Yeah, but just Devon, just think about Michael Todd. I think he's the most experienced guy, maybe after Crazy George.
Oh,
but but George is only in the North American level, except one time he pulled with Taino. But the Michael is internationally. But just think that he is the most effective guy. I mean, he also lost to Trubin. He also lost to, while doing this, to Devon in England. I remember he lost to Dennis. He lost to Pushkar. So it is not as big as you guys are creating it. You understand? It is not like the next level or something.
No.
Even the Gasparini, he is about 100 kilo. Do you guys remember his match against Michael Todd? Also, other than this, I want to say that Gasparini is the guy that has the potential to be the next Brzenk.
The King's move is not the answer for everybody. Obviously, you see how it works out with Jerry Carteret. I mean, there's much easier approaches to beating Jerry than the King's move.
Yeah.
So just as long as you understand that
the way I see that though, John, is you gotta. I think I'm not a fan of the King's move, but I'd love to learn. I'd love for somebody like Manasiev, George, Devon, Schneider, Michael, definitely. Any of the guys that are really proficient. When we did a WL table time thing, and I learned in that. I learned about the King's move from listening to Devon and Mike break it down, and I'd love to understand it in depth, which I don't. But so I could kill it.
The acceptance of this move in my mind, which I really, really did after Michael beat me with it, has changed the way that I train in the gym. Just adding it to everything that I do.
Well, because you're up against a guy, you're focused on Michael now.
It's not just that. It's not that I'm just focused against Michael. I actually think that it's like a hook. It's like a press. It's like any of the moves that we can identify, it's just a move that has a great place in arm wrestling.
Right.
To me,
I
if
would agree with
the shoulder is not below the table, I agree. I see ugly, but fair. But once it goes like this, I see that the only way to either you need to break the arm or you just press so hard that the guy will get hurt and he will jump on the table.
Right.
This is how it is. Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I think it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, to you, yes, but I respect you, but I don't agree.
There's a definite weakness of great arm wrestlers that move is going to be very effective against. But if there was a lot of Jerry Cataretts out there, or a lot of Alexei Vovodas or Gasparinis that have really strong cupping, I think you would not feel the same way about how great the King's move is.
No, I agree. And believe me, I don't think the King's move is like the greatest thing ever. I don't. I really don't. I just think that
it's effective against a lot of people right now. Yeah.
Really effective. So little people don't understand it fully.
Right.
It's very limiting. Your ability to target it, to actually get the guy, so you're turning his palm up and beat it, is very hard to do for most guys, because you have to go into an unorthodox position to achieve that. Particularly if you've got a guy with poor leverage.
Like this.
Turning their palm up. If you turn their palm up, you get them off the pronator.
No, that's not what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
You're never trying to turn their palm over. You're just
tell me about it.
Yeah, you're just trying to put your fingers up.
Yeah.
No,
what about the point I was saying there? Right? What about if your leverage is less?
You're not
hooked. I'm not trying to hook. I'm just trying to cup to make sure that they're pulling with their palm.
Yeah, no. The hook, the cup isn't the big part of the King's move. I mean, it's a part that's going to fail.
No. It's a counter to the King's move.
Counter.
The counter.
Oh, yes, sure.
It's what's effective against it.
Yeah.
Hey, let's be honest here. What Jerry Cataret does is a friggin' art form.
That, for me, is the next thing I want to try and figure out. But I don't know.
Doing it right, a really good world-class presser.
I don't think I can do it without hurting myself.
How about
from initiating? Guys, we're going to have to leave this episode right there. But if we've time, we will pick up another one. I'm not sure we have. But hold that up. Let's talk about pressing the next time out. And right now, guys, that draws this particular episode to a conclusion. I want to thank everybody for joining us here, joining myself, Engin, Devon, and John. And if you like In the Presence of Greatness, remember, like, share, subscribe, guys. Tell everybody about it, and we will see you again next time. And until then, take it easy.